For me, very briefly, for as you know, I've been opposed to BBI right from the very beginning because I don't think it's honest. There's a lot of dishonesty around BBI. It's like Muluka said, it's very amorphous, it's directionless, it's unconstitutional, it's a total waste of taxpayers' money. Now, first of all, I don't agree that we even have a constitutional moment now to amend the constitution in Kenya. Constitutional moments are many times described in the context of societies emerging from conflict, or there is an urgency to fix the constitutional order in a country. I think in the context of constitutional moment, I don't think we are in, because if you look at 2007, 2008, and the clamor for change, that for me was a perfect constitutional moment for Kenya, because the country had seen, for example, the deterioration of the laws and all that. Now, is it a priority for Kenyans, this BBI? Certainly not. Not now. You cannot say there's a constitutional moment or it's a priority because you have to accommodate a few individuals in an bloated executive. So it's not a priority for Kenya, and I can say it's not a priority because look what we are dealing with right now. We are dealing with a global pandemic where even frontline soldiers like doctors, nurses, clinicians are actually dying. And we are the only country, by the way, that even started supporting a referendum we did not know its contents. And it keeps on changing, by the way. It changed from last year. Sometimes this year it has now changed twice. So we don't even know what bill. So for me, it's not a priority for Kenyans. Priority for Kenyans right now for me is how do we revive the economy? How do we take our kids back to school in January? How do we secure unemployment? If you tell me today that we are going to pass a law that has got an unemployment insurance to safeguard people who have lost jobs and livelihoods, that for me is a priority. How to expand our healthcare infrastructure is a priority. How to ensure that there is IT, in every part of this country for purposes of now, because now we are acknowledging technology has become relevant. So, lastly, Bitok, what is the common good from this so-called proposed amendment? Because the basic principle in enacting any law or amending any law is that there has to be a common good. Whether it's a constitution, whether it's a legislation, there has to be a common good. I see no common good. I see this is just political choreography for self-preservation, to safeguard personal interest, and therefore for the common Kenyan, it's not. Like Wakili Ebli said, if you really want to increase more money to the county, we use the term at least 15%. That's a purely administrative. President Uhuru boasts of the honor of executive orders. So why can't he use executive orders to just address some of these issues? And lastly, Bitok, if we are saying that we want to build bridges, a critical question, second to that, is who broke the first bridges? Because there are people who have broken bridges in this country. And we need to know exactly who are those. Because you see, up to now, Raila, one of the proponents of this BBI, must also now come out clean and accept that Uhuru is the president of the Republic of Kenya. He must come out publicly and rescind his swearing in at Uhuru Park at a time when he has never. He has never. So how is he even building bridges when he has never even accepted a government that he now purportedly supports? It's all selfishness. You know, like Wakili said, if you want to know matters cohesion, diversity in this kind of inclusion, there's the National Cohesion and Integration Commission that has done all those reports. So I think let's really not live a lie in this country. Today, I wish we can just focus our efforts on how do we come out of this pandemic. Other countries are busy ordering vaccines to make sure they save their populations, but we are the only country that is just talking about BBI 2022. You know, I think it is morally wrong for us even to entertain this discourse. And I wish we could actually drop. And like Muluka, you can count me in the no camp against BBI. If there is none already, we will form one.
Yes, and we will lead it.
Maybe it's time you threw in an alternative and say, all right.
No, but you see, but let me tell you, I've been a bit, okay, as you know that I promote Punguza Mizigo. And for me, the common good about Punguza Mizigo is that how do we reduce the burden of governance on Kenyans? Reducing the burden of governance. For example, Kenyans never said, and you know, Mzee John retired Major, he said, They went around the country. Nobody told them increase parliamentarians. So that is a burden that we are adding on Kenyans. In fact, even for me as the author of Punguza Mizigo Bill, I am tempted to republish that bill anytime. I can even publish it today. I think what also Kenyans need to know, to say, if we don't like BBI, let's also not be drawn into a war we may not win. The no and yes. I think we may also now need to give Kenyans an alternative. And for me, I am prepared, alongside saying no to BBI, I am happy to republish the Punguza Mizigo Bill with its amendments from the 29 county assemblies.
Take signatures.
OGOLLA.
There's a genuine ethical and moral concern when you're going to divert in excess of 14 billion to a process that is not urgent or entirely transformative. And you know, I have said, if you want to change the constitution against the advice of experts, you can tell me the law society is not supporting the amendment to the constitution. Dr. EKURU is not supporting. PLO Lumumba was here. Tell me any lawyer, constitutional law expert or governance expert, or even a rational thinker, who supports changes to the constitution that come in a very clandestine and abrupt manner as BBI has proposed. So, but let us deal with the morals first. If you're going to spend 14 billion to fund a referendum, look at what we are fighting over at the Supreme Court. It was just an increase of 4 billion. The National Assembly had approved 310 billion. The Senate had wanted only 316 billion, which was in the original CRC proposal. In short, if you divide 316 billion bitok against the 47 counties, you are looking at averagely about 4 billion. If you're taking about 14 billion the referendum, we could fund up to 4 counties the entire financial year with that money. And we could pay all the doctors and the nurses and the teachers and our police officers with all that money. I think there's a problem with our priority matrix. And it's not, you can't corner Kenyans to a position where you take away the integrity and the quality of their voices. Those who want to support BBI, I'm totally opposed to it. Those who want to support BBI should do so, knowing very well that we have already documented the ethical, moral, and financial concerns coming at a time when you're grappling with a depressed economy, surging deaths out of COVID-19 pandemic, loss of public funds elsewhere. We're going to lose more money in a structured way now. You talked about loss of money through KEMSA. Now there's an opportunity to lose money in a properly structured way. I think the question...
And actually we will be aiding the loss of that money if we participate in this process. We are abetting the loss of money.
I think the thing is this, and as a lawyer, I'm also duty-bound to provide civic education on this matter. If you want to change the constitution, you must precede that with an honest audit of the constitution. And I think looking at the existing documents, we really have a greater problem. The disjunction lies between the law and our culture. What the constitution intends or hope to inspire and to achieve has been frustrated by a stubborn and unrepentant culture of impunity. If you address the culture of impunity, which is steeped in our system of governance, you would probably not even need BBI. And I said that very consistent, and I like what Dr. EKURU is saying. The conversation around uniting the country must be prefaced with some honest admissions. You cannot, in terms of the hierarchical order of interpretation and application of the law, the Supreme Court has the last word. As lawyers, we can agree or disagree on what a provision means. But then when we defer that to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court tells you that, listen, having looked at the law, looked at how election was managed, we are satisfied that this election is in compliance with the Constitution and the president is duly elected and has been sworn in. When you create a parallel structure and you have near fanatical support, and you get to be sworn in, it doesn't matter whether you're sworn in as the people's president but in the mind of your supporters, you've already created a false dichotomy that you have another center of power. If you want to proceed the handshake, an honest admission and apology would suffice. And it's not too much to ask for that. Again, because that didn't happen, the philosophy of manipulation and co-option and the philosophy of organizing power and governance around what is politically convenient is what is leading to so many lies. We are being told, pass this thing because it's going to improve your lives. They're not telling us that, listen, pass this thing because we want to exclude Ruto and we want to include more people in government. I have no problem with those who want to exclude Ruto. He's a politician. If he doesn't place politics right and is excluded, he will be excluded, and there's no problem with that. But if you want to, can you exclude someone politically without involving us and without asking us to pay for it? Number two, can you exclude someone without lying to us that this is inclusion when it's actually exclusion? I think honest conversation is what is lacking in this country. There's a serious disjunction between what the law hope to achieve and the reality, what we say qua ground. Qua ground, the reality is, if politicians want something, they will find a way of camouflaging that and driving that agenda until they arrive to it. So if we don't change that, we will not be able to break the system. I think change must be incubated from the bottom if we are to inspire the change from the top.
All right. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Tunaongea na nani?
Unaongea na Godfrey Nyango.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I've been following the conversation and I like the conversation. There's something Dr. AUKOT said there. Is being tempted to republish the bill. I would encourage you to go ahead as early as even yesterday. Because what we are seeing is our country is being hijacked, okay, by the elites. And BARRACK MULUKA, you talked about the middle class. They are not waking up.
Yes.
I would encourage Punguza Mizigo, AUKOT, republish that bill, put it out there, because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and this is the time Kenyans can see the reality. Whether people are taking them for a ride, Kenyans are dying, doctors are on the street, our education system is in tatters, starting from primary school to universities. We have nothing. This country has failed. Actually, we're being classed as a failed state. We need AUKOT, republish your bill, let Kenyans have an alternative. Let them see, do we need 600 MPs or do we need to punguza mizigo? Yes, and so that AUKOT, take it upon yourself. We need the resources to be rechanneled in the right direction, such that we improve our health system, our education system. Do you want to tell me building an expressway from Lolongo all the way to Mau Summit, while people are dying, who will use those roads? That's the question. Thank you very much. Keep it up. Good work.
Asante sana. Have a good day, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Nasikia wananchi wameamuka pia, lakini sijui wakati wa kura sijui kuna kwanga na pepo gani inaingianga. But no, even as we still take up calls, it's a question of inclusion and the things that really ail this country. And we're talking about let's expand the top so that we can unite Kenya and more, even as you combine with the response on the phone call. Muluka, what do you think really ails this country? Do you think we fix it by fixing the elites?
You see, we started the wrong way. I was a young boy in primary school in the 1960s and 70s when President Jomo Kenyatta used to say that he had slain an elephant. Kenyatta alikuwa anasema kwamba nimeangusha ndovu na kila mtu ni lazima aje na kisu chake aweze kujikatia kijisemu chake. That was how Mzee Kenyatta looked at Bidad Kagia and Kungu Karumba. Akawambia, look at me, look at Paul Ngei, and then look at yourselves. Were we not together in Kapinguria? See what I have done for myself. See what Ngei has done for himself. Then look at yourselves. What have you done? So we institutionalized government as a space for stealing, and we then built walls around ourselves that we use our tribes, what we call our communities, as cannon fodder and as defense shields. And therefore, based on that, government lost all sense of direction. So given that kind of arrangement, it becomes very, very difficult and very troublesome to wade ourselves out of that without a very significant paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift must begin with us, who are the so-called thinkers. You see, if you look at the age of enlightenment, the French Revolution, for example, of 1789, 1792, that you have these thinkers who paved the way forward for the nation. That's the people like Montesquieu, people like Jean-Jacques Rousseau, people like Voltaire, and others, people like Thomas Paine, that they start thinking about their country and defining the way forward. I think that is what we are saying, that we need an honest middle class to broker for us a new sense of direction. Sometimes when people ask me, what do you do? I say, I'm paid to think, that I'm a thinker. I'm a thinking animal. There was the famous philosopher who said, I think, therefore, I am, je pense, donc je suis. Okay? I think, therefore, I am. We must bring a critical mass of thought together. And I think that is what Ufungamano was doing for us in the period 1995 to the period 1999, when Yash Palgai came on board. That we are not doing, and I agree. Therefore, OGOLLA, you have a task. Nothing stops you, nothing stops us from coming up with an alternative platform. There's nothing sacrosanct about BBI. And if BBI has become a Trojan horse that is supposed to bring the political elite from 5 tribes into power, what about the rest of the Kenyan nations? What do we think about them? Don't they matter anymore? I agree with Wakili here, Steve Ogolla, that if it's about the exclusion of any one individual, be it William Ruto, be it Musalia Mudavadi, who comes from my home, or whoever else, they should be able to do that without making it our cost, and without ignoring other priorities. And
Muluka, if I can just jump into that.
As I throw it to you, EKURU, to pick some so that we can respond to it. There is someone, and by the way, there's someone as well. Kuna mtu mwingine hapa naona ana lament, sijui ni mtu ya wapi. Someone is lamenting about people disagreeing with BBI. By the way, you've been here. I've invited Paul Mwangi.
Yes, and I wanted to debate him.
Cutting corners.
Yes.
There's nobody who wants to sell BBI. I'll be honest with you. Everybody I've invited to come and sell BBI, they have refused.
Exactly.
Point blank. So when someone accuses me of bringing, I didn't even know OGOLLA disagreed with the other guys disagree. I just called you into a panel, and somehow ideologically you disagree with the document. I want to give him a challenge, Marago Senior. I want to give you a challenge. Give me someone who can sell BBI.
Exactly.
Let him.
No. I was with Kizito here.
Let that person who is complaining calm himself.
But it's not about selling BBI. No, we're looking at what BBI has proposed. I am very apolitical, and I have no problem. As I said, in principle, there's nothing wrong with changing the constitution, because the constitution already anticipates that some changes can actually do happen to it. What we are saying is that the organizing philosophy behind BBI is a very curious and disruptive and manipulative and exclusive one, exclusive to only a few people who know the intent. But the benefit of analysis saves us the energy and the desperation of wait and see.
Yes.
You can unpack. And when you begin to unpack the real intention, while we are opening the constitution, even if you are an enthusiastic supporter, you begin to be demoralized. And I'm saying that we started this process as looking at the handshake, saying, okay, fine, not a bad thing, because there's the stability is what we need. But I hope now, after the handshake, there'll be some honest admissions of serious errors in judgment made by political elite and political leaders, and then we have conversations around that. That if we needed now to increase the momentum and redirect the conversation towards changing the constitution, then we would defer to institutions that are mandated to implement the constitution. And you know, I was embarrassed when I saw the judiciary being cornered, an independent institution now being cornered to go and make submissions. You know, that's a terrible low moment for the country, that the judiciary had to submit to an amorphous group collecting views on what, because they said
it was part of the legitimization, the effort to legitimize.
You must document the desperation. If you don't go and speak for yourself, you will rubbish that process. They will make recommendations that will hurt you, and no one will speak for you. So you better go and speak. But that is not to say that the judiciary or other independent organs that submitted views to that institution really sanctioned the legality, the constitutionality, and the propriety of the process. I think, in short, is it possible to shelve the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 without any kind of extreme development circumstances? Yes, it's possible. Is it possible to animate the Constitution to implement all this proposal in the Constitutional Amendment Bill without going the referendum? The answer is yes. And how is that wrong? Is it a logical analysis that produces the outcome? Even if I say I really, by the way, I voted for Uhuru Kenyatta, I cannot tell you that. I do not support most of the decisions Uhuru Kenyatta has made, because when you look at those decisions in the context of what the Constitution has provided, he has disobeyed the Constitution, he has disobeyed court orders. I mean, you just want Uhuru to finish and go. You know? But the person who comes in probably will extend that philosophy, because I'm not seeing a serious political shift in ideology that you can, you know, Uhuru will go, but Uhuru will reign. Looking at the pattern.
Uhuruism.
Uhuruism will
well, I think the truth for the matter is Uhuru wants to do a Putin on us using this BBI.
So there's something I to read on women. Someone has proposed on the issues of... so I want to challenge this guy. If you want to come and tell us what is good, we've talked about the icings. But if you say the icings, we can achieve the icings without having the cake. You're saying, okay, give us the icing, we could go to parliament, legislate and all that, without actually messing up the whole meal. There's someone who made a suggestion on Punguza Mzigo, that is Lucy Mitei, and she's saying, Dr. Okot, kindly before publishing the bill, review and repackage it. I know the bill did not haggle well with the women's movement because women's leadership was seen as the Mzigo. Just review rename it, this bill, and bring it on. People are ready for it, but you need to pick it up from
actually, I think people did not understand. You remember, Punguza Mzigo came as a shocker to the system and to many people. That they thought, I remember, for example, my fellow nomadic pastor, Adan Duale, laughing at me, basically telling me, EKURU, bana, you, hata ukipata 1,000 signatures, come. In fact, he promised me 1 million Kenya shillings. I hope he still can keep his word. Now, it came as a shocker to the system, to everybody. But what they did not understand, we went under for about over 1 year collecting these signatures, and we applied both technology and physical form collections. Now, to Mitei, I will tell her this. Actually, if she had read Punguza Mzigo properly, one of the things that we wanted to achieve with Punguza Mzigo is to make sure the gender question in the institution of parliament is achieved. And the math is very simple. We had said that we want to amend the constitution so that in all the 47 counties of Kenya, we elect 1 woman and 1 man to the National Assembly. We create 6 special interest seats, again in those categories under 100, Article 100. Each one of those again must be 1 man, 1 woman. And that will give you 50-50 in Parliament, in National Assembly. In the Senate, we said, because we want to reduce burden, we don't want nomination, we don't want all of, because remember the operational philosophy of Third Way, Punguza Mzigo's, Punguza Mzigo was reduce the burden, reduce the cost, but also send more money to the grassroots so that you achieve real inclusivity. Now, if you consider a parliament of 147, where you have got 50 women, that's already more than a third. So we'll have achieved a third cleverly, without through an election actually, instead of nomination, because nomination sometimes came as a result of who shouts the loudest, who is close to who. We have even been told now, the women who get nominated, it's becoming a very derogatory way, you know? It's becoming a very derogatory way that they could be girlfriends, mistresses of party leaders, secretary generals of parties, and we wanted to remove that from women, that tag from women, because I wanted women to walk into that parliament shoulder high, knowing that I've also been elected like you, you know? now we talk, and for me, I'm going to revise this bill. And actually, by the way, I've already revised it. I was just waiting for the opportune moment to republish it. And I hope that people are now encouraging me to actually republish this bill. We'll also take lead in the signature collection. We have to participate, because what we are calling on here, especially as middle class people who can watch this show on Facebook, you're not ordinary kawaida Kenyan huko in the village. You're actually a person who is interacting with the real politics of this country. So when we republish this bill, I hope the people watching me here will actually take the lead in their communities, in their respective regions and places, environments, and actually collect the signatures. And we can bring change. That takes me to the second point, Bitok. Why are we all discussing BBI in the context of individuals? And I really want to persuade my brother, Steve Ogolla here. He has repeated twice that, the BBI seems to be the exclusion of Ruto for 2022. I wish Ogolla will tell me that he himself will want to run for the presidency of this country, because I know he's capable. He's a very intelligent person, as many Kenyans are saying, even from the comments I'm reading here. That Ogolla speaks to one of the fundamental problems we have in Kenya. We have defined Kenya in the context of a few tiny minorities. Even BBI right now, part of the criticism around BBI and the expansion of the executive is because we are saying, no, why should we expand the executive to accommodate Suji Raila, Ruto? And part of the reason why also Ruto is flip-flopping on this BBI, because everybody knew he was opposed to it from the very beginning. He's flip-flopping because he wants to see what could I benefit from that. Maybe it's the expanded executive. Maybe if I come with a certain number, critical number of MPs, I can be either deputy prime minister or a prime minister or even the president. Now, therein lies a bigger issue that I really want us to discuss. We may not exhaust today. Why is Kenya defined in the context of a few individuals? Why can't we say Muluka, BARRACK MULUKA here is capable, and he is capable of leading this country. He can give this country the strategic direction it needs. Now, that for me is the problem. That even the changes we are discussing here now, actually the contentious changes about this document is actually about individuals. It's not about the wider Kenyan. And I think for me, this is where we go wrong, Bitok. If we can remove the discourse from these few individuals and make it a Kenyan discourse, that how do we benefit Kenya? And I go back to the idea of making a constitution, reviewing it, writing it, even the laws must have a common good. And the common good once achieved, then we are able to build a nation state. Otherwise, today as we speak, we are just a conglomeration of ethnic identities that found ourselves in a geographical location called Kenya. That's all we are. And that's why we are being manipulated by individuals who think they own us. And the more we discuss constitutional changes, the country called Kenya, in the context of a tiny minority of people, we actually give them the title to our own lives. We are giving them the title to our own country. And that's why they can decide anyhow they want. They are shoving it down our throats, even when people are dying, when doctors are dying during a pandemic, and we are still cheering. I think we are mad.
All right. I'll just extend 10 minutes from time, and now we are going to move to the tackle of the day. There's something we call tackle of the day. I don't know if you've heard about it. It is where we shoot the shots. So I'll start with you again, Muluka, with your tackle of the day. Should where needs to be shot? No fear. No fear.
I'm not very sure I understand by the tackle of the day, but I will grope hopefully in the right direction, because we are looking at the state of the nation in all this talk. Tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be the 12th day of December. We are marking Jamhuri, and we are marking Jamhuri in a very troubled environment. It's an environment in which we have got our priorities completely upside down. It is an environment in which Kenyans are speaking, Kenyans are lamenting, Kenyans are dying, Kenyans are starving, Kenyans are broke, Kenyans are being evicted from their homes. Kenyans are stuck with bank loans. Kenyans are stuck with mortgage. But the president has abdicated his duty and responsibility to Kenyans. The person we hear speaking to us is the person who took an extra legal, in fact an illegal oath of office as the people's president. He has told us things like doctors are dying just like anybody else. He has told them to be understanding. in a context where we expect that the president should be speaking to Kenyans, that the president should be telling us about vaccines, just like other heads of government and state elsewhere in the world are doing. They're doing it in the UK, they're doing it in Germany, in France. Even President Trump, for all his blemishes and curious ways of looking at things, he's also talking about these things in his country. And so we are at a very, very critical and delicate moment. The health workers are on strike, clinical officers are on strike, nurses are on strike. Doctors are going to join the strike, being joined in their own strike in a few days' time. And perhaps it does not even matter whether they strike or they don't go on strike. If the rest of the health workers are on strike, the health service sector is paralyzed, and we cannot behave as if it is business as usual. I think we need to now begin reasoning with one another, whatever the ambitions may be, whatever it is that is hidden in this BBI for President Uhuru Kenyatta, that he pushes it very hard. I sometimes get even very worried. I keep wondering, why is President Uhuru Kenyatta so determined to give and impose upon the country an imperial presidency? What is he hiding in the back? Is he hoping to succeed himself? Is he going to spring a surprise upon us at some point and say that this is a new legal dispensation, I therefore can offer myself again as a presidential candidate? What about these numbers that he's trying to impose upon us in Parliament, in the National Assembly, and in the Senate? What are all these sinister things about? I think that the president should now know that it is his tea party. It is not about Raila Odinga, who has sneaked himself into government as a co-president of sorts. It is about Uhuru Kenyatta. And when all is said and done, I think he stands a major risk of being judged by history as an unmitigated failure. If he has friends out there, family, people who really care for Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and his legacy, they should tell him that it is about time he stopped. It is about time he looked at things again. Barring which, history will judge him as an unmitigated failure. Wow.
All right, I'll go to Steve because court had spoken before him.
Well, I think the deterioration of decency, honesty, integrity, and the glorification, if you like, of impunity and ethnic solidarity largely explains the reason why we are stranded as a country, and it also explains the reason why we are likely to be more stranded at the margins of time going forward. Until we understand what ails this country, until we understand that our body politic is a huge laboratory for manufacturing lies, fraud, and falsification, that the philosophy of organizing government is not public service delivery, rather accumulation of wealth and status and prestige, you know, and co-opting your community to support that agenda, we will not be able to disrupt and displace the problems that now bedevil us. So in that context, BBI will not, even if it is voted and supported and it passes, will not inspire the kind of change Kenyans are hoping to see. Because you see, I have said, we must incubate change from the bottom if you want to see adjustments at the top. But if you wait for bottom decisions to be made and to trickle down to you, those decisions will be made in the context of the philosophy of political expediency and convenience. What is politically convenient is not necessarily what Wanjiko needs. What is politically convenient is that certain political elites that decide to prop a particular government can do so at a cost, and that the cost is you can organize the next government to accommodate those persons. And then now repackage that. Barack said, repackage, sugar-coated, add some sweeteners, create a youth commission so that youth are co-opted, create a bloated parliament so that women are happy, give governors power to appoint CECs from the county assemblies so that they can neutralize some of the critical voices in the county assemblies, give MCAs themselves ward fund so that they have reason not to support the process, give MPs constitutional and CDF. We have more than 13 national government funds, but only CDF has been included in the constitution because it's targeting the members of parliament. Give governors more money in terms of 35%. You can camouflage the political intention by creating so many sweeteners around the process, and that is the kind of dishonesty. And I always say, it's my parting shot, change will be incubated from the bottom at the individual level when you reflect. Do you have an understanding of what your value system really is? Can you fight for your value system? Can you begin to influence from the periphery? And by the periphery, I mean your family, your community, and so on and so forth, climbing up. You know, then you can be able to see change and transformation. As it is, and this is a very grim report, this country is stranded. It will remain to be stranded until change has been incubated from the bottom. I think that, for me, is just the parting shot.
So my tackle of the day is this, and I want to speak directly to my fellow Kenyans. And I say that Kenya belongs to all of us in equal measure. Let us not surrender our birthright to just a few political individuals, because when this country goes down, it goes down with all of us. And we really need to look around us, look outside our window called Kenya, and see what's happening in South Sudan, see what's happening in Burundi, in DRC Congo, and many, many other countries. That if we don't fix the country for the common good of each and every Kenyan, we will all suffer in equal measure. These people we glorify, as Wakili OGOLLA has said, will charter a private jet and live with their families and leave us to a country that has gone under. If truly we want to help change this country, let us participate. Let us participate in politics. Let us not be the political illiterates. Let's not say that politics is bad. Because the reason these individuals somehow own us and the region that we come from is because we've become curious onlookers, bystanders for far too long. So they own the country, they own us. They are the slave masters, we are the slaves. And that's why, unashamedly, even some elected members of parliament will openly say, mimi ni ng'ombe wa kiongozi fulani. It's a shame, and I think if you really care, if you're a responsible adult, you want to see continuity in our country, you want to see Kenya for our children, their children and their grandchildren, then let's make Kenya a better country for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Agot. I really appreciate you, gentlemen, for coming in this morning. I'm sorry I've kept you late, 10 minutes late. But I hope to see you again. Muluka, this is your first time here. And Steve, also, you need to keep these conversations running so that we can make this country a better place.
So one of the things you must do, yes. I've been watching some of the comments, so that people don't think that your show just welcomes people who are bashing BBI. I think you should publicly invite the pro-BBI individuals.
Which I am.
I can see people asking here, invite Otiende Amolo.
You're my witness. I invited, last time we had a point on a Tuesday, Junet was to come in, he didn't show up. Paul Mwangi was to come in with you.
Yes.
He's here to show up. Last time I talked to him, he told me he was waiting for the bill to come out, Bill 2020, so they could come and comment. So you see, you cannot go and pull these people. And it all tells you about leadership. So it becomes difficult at times to do. And this also says a lot about leaders, because it depends on the people who want to have a conversation with Kenyans. If you don't want to talk to Kenyans, you only want to go to political podiums and throw insults and all that. But when you're called in to have a sober discourse with Kenyans and enlighten Kenyans, and I've told these guys, come and sell, enlighten Kenyans what this whole thing is all about. I cannot do it for you. The same way I cannot do it for Muluka, I cannot do it for EKURU and all that. You have to come in and enlighten Kenyans on what you think you believe in.
Yeah, but
so I still
you're talking of someone who has called himself a cow Yeah, someone's cow, and that cow is the cow that is leading the BBI Secretariat. You can understand the challenges when you ask the cow to now come to the studio.
So maybe Muluka, we have made history in the world that for the first time we are being led by a cow, in a meaningful constitution.
Yes.
We don't have regard for experts. We don't have respect for common sense, or even regard for experts. You know, you may differ with Daktari here,
Yes.
but you know he's trained in law. He's an expert.
Yes.
In another context, and he made a mention about his next webinar. This is someone who has written constitutions. And even if you don't respect him, why don't you just recognize the fact that he has special training that can actually drive this country forward? If he tells you, you know, I like deferring to leadership, and I like deferring to experts. If experts tell you that there's a problem of conceptualization, there's a problem of framing, I mean, why should you doubt it?
It's like when a doctor diagnosis you have an headache, then you want another to tell you, it's a stomachache.
There's an African adage that says, if the crocodile comes out of the water and tells the alligators and why should you doubt it? I mean, why debating matters that are settled by experts? I think if it's possible to suggest going forward, I think we need to have a broader, more detailed conversation that gears towards shelving BBI for now. We're not saying that abandon it entirely. Can we just shelve it and then start afresh, auditing the entire process? Unless you're telling me that it's serving another clandestine agenda, which is not,
but of course it does.
which you said it has. Then you can also say, then there are many ways of achieving that clandestine. And just make it open. We can actually suggest, if you don't want to root out in the presidency, that's fine. I can also make suggestions on how to exclude so and so. If you wanted those kind of suggestions without zero cost, you know. But I think that's where we are as a country.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming. By the way, coincidentally, this is the last show we are doing this year. And you guys had the opportunity to close it up. And I also appreciate you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
And other tacklers who have been with us. I really want to appreciate you guys that have been love all over. This show is only less than 6-7 months old, by the way. We started, I think, around August. And here we are. And we want to appreciate that we've been able to do much more. And we hope that we're going to do much more together. We build this conversation. It's an open platform for all of us. I want to still declare it's very open for everybody to come in and express themselves. We don't trade with government. We are not anybody's papers. We don't receive sponsorship from politicians. We have an open discussion that Kenyans want and actually deserve it. So we hope you're going to have these conversations more next year. We want to wish you guys a very happy holidays and Merry Christmas. I know it's not going to be very merry this year, but anyway, it has to be merry. You know, by procedure, we have to wish you a Merry Christmas by procedure. So thank you so much, guys, for always joining in. So the tacklers who have been with us, we really appreciate you. We love you. The tackle really loves you. And by the way, in January, you're going to come back bigger. We are working on launching our channel. So next year, January tukifika, we'll be having more content, a bigger channel, and the conversations we're going to have with you. We love you guys, and you know, we hope that you're going to have these conversations more. Keep sharing the broadcast. Ukipatana video ya the tackle tafadhali skuma until we close in the year. This is the tackle, and the tackle ends now. See you again in January. Bye bye. See you.